Hello students, in today's class we are going to start the next new chapter, conic sections. From the name of the chapter itself, it's very clear. We are going to learn about the various sections which can be arrived out of a cone. Yes, we are going to learn about the various sections which can be arrived out of a cone at different angles, right? And we are also going to learn about the conic sections equations also, right? So to start with, let us learn how can we arrive at a cone. So let L be a fixed vertical line and M be another line intersecting it at a fixed point V. L is a line and M is another line intersecting it at a fixed point V, inclined it at an angle alpha. Right now, if we rotate this line M around L at a constant angle alpha, what you will get? If we are going to rotate this line M, around this line L with the fixed constant angle alpha, what we will get? We will get a double napped right circular hollow cone. Okay, we will refer it as a cone. Yes, we will call that line L as a axis of a cone, and through M only we got that cone, right? So M, the line M is called the generator of the cone, and V is called the vertex of the cone, right? V is called the vertex of the cone, line L is axis, and the rotating line M is called the generator of the cone. And this vertex separates the cone into two parts called naps. This is called upper nap and this is called lower nap, right? If we take the intersection of a plane with a cone, the section so obtained is called a conic section. Now what are we going to do? We are going to intersect a plane with this cone, and we are going to check what sort of sections are we going to arrive at. We will arrive at different sections when the plane is intersecting at different angles. Yes, if it intersects at 90 degree, what will happen? If it intersects at less than 90 degree, what sort of conic section are we going to get? That's what we are going to learn in the further topic. So as of now, what we learned, how we got the cone. The surface generated by a straight line M along the axis L at a fixed angle alpha is called a cone. I repeat, the surface generated by the straight line M along the line L axis at a fixed angle alpha is called the cone. We call it as a double napped circular hollow cone. And further for discussion, we will call it in short as a cone. Okay, and this V is called a vertex, M is called a generator, L is called a axis, and this is inclined at alpha. Right? Then how can we get the different conic sections? This how we arrived at a cone. How can we arrive at a different conic sections? We can arrive at the different conic sections by the intersection of a plane with the cone. Intersection of a plane with the cone at different angles, we will arrive at a different conic sections. Now let us see what are all the different conic sections, right? So let us denote the angle beta, be the angle made by the intersecting plane with the vertical axis of the cone. Alpha is the angle between the axis and the generator. Alpha is the angle between the axis and the generator, whereas beta is the angle between the plane and the axis. Okay, angle made by the intersecting plane with the vertical axis of the cone. Remember, beta is the angle made by the plane with the vertical axis. Right? So the intersection of the plane with the cone can take place either at the vertex of the cone or any part of the nape, either below or above the vertex. So again there arises two cases. The plane may intersect the cone either at the vertex or above or below the vertex. It can be at any point. So we are going to discuss both the cases. What happens if the plane intersects the cone at the vertex, and what happens if it intersects other than the vertex, right? Especially in this chapter we are going to learn about circle, ellipse, parabola and hyperbola. We are already familiar with a circle, right? We know many things about circle. Now let us see how can we arrive at a circle out of a cone, right? So when the plane cuts the nap of the cone, we have the following situation. So before we get into circle in deeper, let us see how can we arrive at these different conic sections from the cone, right? When beta equal to 90 degree, what is beta? Beta is the angle between the plane and the line of axis. If that is 90 degree, then the section is a circle. Okay. If the beta lies in between alpha and 90 degree, we will obtain an ellipse. When both alpha and beta are equal, we will obtain a parabola. In each of the above three situations, the plane cuts entirely across one nap of the cone. Okay. When beta lies in between 0 and alpha, 0 less than or equal to beta less than alpha, the plane cuts through both the naps and the curves of intersection is a hyperbola. Let us see all these things with the diagram. Beautifully it's been depicted in your textbook. So first one is a circle when beta is equals to 90 degree. When beta is 90 degree, when it exactly cuts, see this is a cone, and if we cut exactly at 90 degree, what will happen? What shape you will get? You can take your cone in your home if you have a birthday cap like that, and you can cut and see what shapes are you getting out of it. If we cut the cone exactly at 90 degree, what shape you will get? You will get a circle. So when beta equal to 90 degree, we will get a circle, right? When the angle is, so when alpha less than beta less than 90 degree, when beta lies in between alpha and 90 degree, that is in this position, slanting position, if you cut the cone, we will get a ellipse, right? And when alpha equals to beta, when the angle inclined, the angle of inclination between the generator and the vertical axis is same as the angle between the vertical axis and the plane. So when this will happen? When the generator and the plane are parallel, then only the alternate angles will become equal. So when the plane is parallel to the generator, then only the two angles will be equal. In that case, we will get a parabola. In that case, we will get a parabola. When we cut the cone in this way, we will get a parabola, right? When 0 less than or equal to beta less than alpha, we will get a hyperbola. Hyperbola is the intersection of two curves, right? The upper one, lower one. See, when you check the circle, ellipse and the parabola, the plane divides only one nape of the cone, only the upper nape. But when it comes to hyperbola, it will intersect both the napes. Then we will get a hyperbola. Okay, when beta lies in between 0 and alpha, we will get a hyperbola. So it is enough if you know all these things, right? When you exactly cut at 90 degree, we will get a circle. When beta is less than 90, like slanting position, we will get a ellipse. When alpha and beta are exactly same, we will get a parabola. When 0 less than or equal to beta less than alpha, we will get a hyperbola. Now, as I told you, these are all the positions where we obtained when the plane is not intersecting at the vertex, right? Is not intersecting at the vertex. But there may be cases where it will intersect at the vertex. So let us see what happens if it intersects at the vertex. Those are called degenerated conic sections. When it intersects at the vertex, we will call them as a degenerated conic sections. So in that case, what will happen? If alpha less than beta less than or equals to 90 degree, then the section is a point. Right? When beta is intersecting, see, when the plane is intersecting at the vertex and when the angle is less than or equal to 90 degree, it is going to be a point. When alpha and beta are equal, then we are going to get a straight line. Okay. See, when beta equals to alpha, we are going to get a straight line. It is a degenerated case of a parabola. Okay. So this is like parabola is stretched because it is intersecting at the vertex. Right. When 0 less than or equal to beta less than alpha, we will be getting a pair of intersecting straight lines. Right. So when alpha less than beta less than or equal to 90, it is going to be a point. When alpha equal to beta, it is going to be a straight line. When 0 less than or equal to beta is less than alpha, we will get a pair of straight lines. This is when beta is equal to 0, when beta lies in between 0 and alpha, we will get like this. Right? So all these cases arises when the plane intersects at the vertex. These are all the cases where when the plane does not intersect at the vertex. When it intersects at the vertex, we will get like this. Okay. We will get a point, we will get a straight line, and we will get a pair of intersecting straight lines. And here circle, ellipse, parabola and a hyperbola. Hope you got it. Now we are going to learn first in detail about a circle. What is meant by a circle and how can we obtain the equation of a circle, and then we are going to solve problems on it. Now what is a circle? A circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point in the plane. This is well known definition. We are learning about circle right from our lower classes. So what is a circle? Circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point. Right? That fixed point we will call it as a center, and the distance between the center and any point on the circle we will call it as the radius. Right? So this we know, the definition of a circle already we know. It is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point. Right? Now let us see what is the equation of a circle. And from this, if the center is h comma k and let p be any point on the circle, then we know the distance between C and P is our radius r. Right? Now what is distance formula? Square root of x2 minus x1 the whole square plus y2 minus y1 the whole square. So x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square equals to r. We are finding the distance between C and P. So if we square on both sides, we will get x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square is equals to r square. This is the required equation of the circle with center at h comma k. I am sorry, this is not 0 comma 0. This is h comma k with the center h comma k and radius r. Right? If the center is 0 comma 0, what will happen? We have to put h is equal to 0 and k equal to 0 in this equation. So you have to remember what is the equation of a circle. Equation of a circle is x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square equals to r square when h comma k is the center and radius is the r. Yes, hope you got it. Now let us solve the problems from exercise 11.1. Your first question is find the equation of the circle with a center and radius. They have directly given center and the radius. I have done the third question for you. So if we know the center and the radius, what is equation of a circle? Equation of a circle is given by x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square, which is equal to r square, where h comma k is the center and r is the radius. So we have to just substitute. H is 1 by 2, k is 1 by 4 and r is 1 by 2. This is a minus b the whole square identity. This is also a minus b the whole square identity. Expand it and simplify it. and bring all the terms to one side. I have divided throughout by 4 because it has a common factor, and hence this is the required equation of the circle. Right, and the remaining problems also are of the same kind, so I want you to do all those problems. Let us move on to the next question. In each of the following exercises 6 to 9, find the center and the radius of the circles. In the previous problem, they have given you the center and the radius and they asked you to find the equation, but here they have given you the equation and they asked you to find the center and the radius. So if we rewrite the given equation in the form of x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square equals to r squared, we can directly find what is our center, because we know h comma k is our center and r is our radius, right? So if we check our sixth question, it is of the form, right? It is of the form x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square equals to r square, because 36 can be written as 6 square. But you have to be very careful. In the standard equation of a circle, it is minus, but here it is plus. So what will be the value of h here? Minus 5. And what will be the value of k here? 3. Hope you got it. You have to compare it with the standard equation and then only you have to take the values. So h is going to be minus 5 and k is going to be 3, because in the equation we have minus only, but here we have plus. And so the center is going to be minus 5 comma 3 and the radius is going to be 6, not 36, because our equation is r square. So 36 is 6 square. So radius is going to be 6. In hurry, don't write the radius is 36. So if the equation is already in the standard form, it is easy to obtain your center and the radius. But if it is in the derived form like this, how can we get our center and the radius? Let us see. What we should do is we have to rewrite this in the form of the standard form, and then we have to check out what is our center and the radius. Alright. Now let us see how can we solve our seventh problem now. Now let us see how can we solve this. So this is the equation x square plus y square minus 4x minus 8y minus 45 equal to 0. We have to bring it in the standard form, which is x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square is equals to r square. So we need it in the whole square format. Hope you remember this method, which is called as completing the square method. We have learnt in our previous lower classes. So how we should do is first combine all the x terms, right? Combine the x terms. So x square minus 4x. Then combine the y square terms. Y square minus 8y. Then constant term separated. This is the procedure to rewrite it in the form of whole square. Now what you should do is you have to add and subtract. You have to add and subtract the square of the half the coefficient of x. Square of the half the coefficient of x. Or logically, if you are good in thinking, good in logical thinking, you can think what number should be added to make it as a perfect square, to make it as a whole square. Already we have x square minus 4x. So what number should be added to make it as a perfect square? In the sense, in the form of a minus b the whole square. Okay, if you are good in logical thinking, you can think and write. Or else, what you can do is you can divide the coefficient of x by 2 and then square it. That number should be added and subtracted. Now what is the coefficient of x here? 4. You take only the numerical you don't want to bother about the sign. Okay. So if we take 4 divided by 2. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. So you have to add and subtract 2 square. You have to add and subtract 2 square. Right. The same way here, if you come, what is the coefficient of y? 8. So what is 8 divided by 2? 4. Now you have to add and subtract 4 square. See, I have added and subtracted the 4 square. We have to combine the added term with here and you have to separate the subtracted term, because in the expansion of a minus b the whole square identity, we will have a square plus b square minus 2ab. Our b square term will be always plus. So take the added term and separate the subtracted term. This is what called completing the square method. Right? So what we have to do, you have to combine all the x term and the y term, add and subtract half the coefficient of square of the half the coefficient of x. Okay. So if you do that, if you do in that way correctly you will get your answer. Okay. Or if you feel it is very difficult to remember, logically think and do it, but don't commit any mistakes. So if you feel I can't think and write, remember this. What you have to do, you have to add and subtract the square of the half the coefficient of x. Square of the half the coefficient of x. After this, if you check, you will get the correct answer. See, a square plus b square minus 2ab. Because your b is 2. 2 into a is x, b is 2. So 2ab term is 4x. Right? So this can be rewritten as x minus 2 the whole square. Hope you got it. If you expand it using a minus b the whole square, we will get a square plus b square minus 2ab. 2 into x. Similarly here a minus b the whole square. So y minus 4 the whole square. Suppose if the middle term is plus, here it will become y plus 4 the whole square, but the procedure is same. You have to add and subtract square of the half the coefficient of x only. Yes. So after this what happened? You have to simplify this. 2 square is 4, 4 square is 16, and if you simplify we got 65. But 65 is not a perfect square, but to express it in the standard form we need it in the whole square. Then only we can write what is our radius, right? So we can write 65 as square root of 65 the whole square. Now we have obtained our required equation in the form of x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square is equals to r square. So what do we have in the place of h? 2. Already the equation is minus. Here also we got minus. So h is 2, k is 4. So the center is 2, 4 and the radius is square root of 65. Hope you understood. Yes. So first club the x terms and y terms, do the completing the square method to express it as a perfect square, and then get your center and the radius. 8th question is also of the same way. Let us see the 9th question. In the 9th question also they asked you to find the center and the radius, but if you look at the equation, we don't have y term and the constant term here. It is simply 2x square plus 2y square minus x. But the procedure is same. Club the x terms together. Since we have 2 here, we can take the 2 common, because we need the coefficient of x square and y square to be 1. Right? Then only we can write it as x minus h the whole square. If we have any coefficient for x square and y square, we cannot express it in the form of x minus h the whole square. So take the common term out and try to eliminate the coefficient of x square and y square. So I have taken 2 as common. So what will happen? X square minus, it doesn't have 2, so we have to divide it by 2. Alright? Plus y square equals to 0. Anyhow, if we bring this 2 to the other side, it will become 0 only. Now apply the completing the square method. What is the completing the square method? I told you, you have to add and subtract square of the half the coefficient of x. What is the coefficient of x here? 1 by 2. So you have to divide it by 2. So it will become 1 by 4. Now we have to add and subtract 1 by 4 the whole square. We have to add and subtract 1 by 4 the whole square. Not just 1 by 4, it's whole square. Now if we combine these 3 terms, we can get x minus 1 by 4 the whole square. So if we expand it, we will get all these 3 terms. But y square is separate, it doesn't have any y term. So it can be written as y minus 0 the whole square. And this is a constant term, we can bring it to the other side. Don't combine these two and write y minus 1 by 4 the whole square. This is a square minus b square. A square minus b square is different from a minus b the whole square. Remember, a square minus b square is not equal to a minus b the whole square. Many will make this mistake. You cannot combine these two and write y minus 1 by 4 the whole square. So the center is 1 by 4 comma 1 by 4. You should not. Okay. So y square is separate and this 1 by 4 the whole square is separate. Now y square can be written as y minus 0 the whole square and this is 1 by 4 the whole square. Therefore the center is 1 by 4 comma 0 and the radius is going to be 1 by 4. Yes, hope you got it. Let us move on to the next question now. Now let us see how can we solve our 10th question. It is given the circle, the points on the circle, and it is also given center lies on the line. They asked you to find the equation of the circle, right? Find the equation of the circle which passes through the points 4, 1, 6, 5 and whose center is on the line. Okay. So how can we give the equation? Now we know equation of the circle is x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square equals to r square, right? Where h comma k is the center and r is the radius. And it is clearly given these two are the points on the circle. So we can substitute these points in the equation. We can substitute these points in the equation. So in the place of x and y, if we put 4 1 and 6 5, we will get two equations, right? 4 minus h the whole square. This is your x, y. So 4, 1 and 6 and 5. We substitute, we got two equations and both are equal to r square. So we can equate. If we expand using a minus b the whole square and if we simplify it, we are getting an equation in h and k. 4h plus 8k is equals to 44. Right? And also it is given that center is on the line 4x plus y equal to 16. What is center? H comma k. So we can substitute h comma k in 4x plus y equal to 16. If we substitute, we will get another equation in h and k. Now what are we going to do? We are going to solve these two equations by elimination method. If we solve, we can obtain the values for h and k. Alright, so we got what is our center. So if we know what is our radius, we can very well give the equation of the circle. So since we got h and k, we can substitute in any one of these two equations to obtain our radius, right? So I'm going to substitute the value of h and k in that equation and we found that r square is 10 or r is equal to root 10. And hence the equation can be given as x minus h the whole square plus y minus k the whole square equals to r square. R square value is 10. Alright. If you expand using a minus b the whole square and if you simplify, you can give the equation of a circle. Right. So what we did here, they asked you to find the equation of a circle. To write the equation of a circle, we should know the center and the radius. So to find the center and the radius, they have given you two clues, 2 points on the circle and the center passes through the line. On substituting, we obtained the equations, we have solved it and then we found the center and the radius and then we substituted in the equation. Yes, these are all very easy problems. Hope you understood. So with this, let us wind up today's class. And homework is going to be in exercise 11.1 question number 1, 4, 5, 6, 8 and 11. 11th question is exactly same as 10th question. So I want you to do it. Right? In the next class, let us continue with the exercise. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Thank you, students.